Tia's talking over lunch, I was a little nervous, to be honest with you, because people would sit down around us, and what are Adnan and I talking about? We're talking Arabic, and we're talking Quran, and we're talking New Testament, and we're talking ISIS and jihad, and all sorts of stuff like that. And I'm just expecting, people to come down the stairs and drag us both off. But thankfully that didn't happen. And so the debate went great. It was, everything just worked really well. Mike and Kathy were there. Mike has the newest top-end Canon camera. It takes like 13 shots per second.
Yeah, you could hear it.
Yes, you can hear it.
In the debate.
Yeah,
you can
I know.
Go bing, 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 bing,
Yeah. Well, they took 5,700 pictures of that debate. And I'm wondering why so many, but then he pointed out the obvious. When you take just one shot, half the time you get, or all these different, satanic things, according to the guys, the Roman Catholic guys. But, the fact of the matter is our faces move. And sometimes it's not a really complimentary. You can freeze frame anybody. Look at what they've done to Hillary Clinton or Trump or whatever. You can freeze frame anybody and make them look silly. With 13 shots, though, one of them is probably going to turn out well. And man, did they. I mean, if you look at just what Mike put up on Facebook that night or the next day, that was the best. That was the best photographed debate I've ever been at. Between the venue and then Mike and Kathy's stuff, they did a great job. Really, really great job. And I got to tell you something, folks. After all these debates, and especially the one there in London, the people that came up to me afterwards, this program, I can't even begin to express how much it means to me when people come up. And how many times now I've had people from pasty white Irish guys up toward the Arctic Circle to deep black Africans in South Africa. That pretty much covers the globe. I've been in Norway too, so I could even go farther north than that. And what do they say? The dividing line kept me sane through uni. It was the only reason I was able to hold on to my faith through university. The only positive voice I was hearing was the dividing line. And we've never spent almost anything to promote this program, and yet there are people that listen literally all around the world. And it's amazing. I had a Muslim apologist come up to me and say, you really make me think. You do try to be consistent. You try to be fair in your criticisms. And he said, I've had to drop half of the arguments that I used to use against Christianity because of you. Now we only got the other half to work on. But I appreciated the honesty. I appreciated the kindness. And when a young man came up to me after that debate and said, 3 years ago, I was a Muslim. And today, I am a follower of Jesus Christ, and it was because of these debates. That's the only reason you do it. That's the only reason to, Adnan mentioned how I've read Bukhari and Muslim on a bike. And I've told you the story about, I can remember where I was when I heard the hadith about not harming women and children, but right next to a hadith that sounded like you could harm women and children, and that Nigerian imam and all the rest of that stuff. I've told the story a number of times. And I've spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours listening to the hadith, and Adnan and I talked about that over lunch too. And why do that? Well, you do that so that you continue to hear people like that saying, God used that. And so often it's what removes those barriers, is to hear both sides right next to each other. Because when you only hear one side, then the other side, then one side, then the other side, you're always left going, Maybe, you know, I wish I could hear this question answered. That's what makes debates so useful, so good. It really is. And so I told that young man, if he's watching, you just don't know what it means to me to hear that kind of thing. There were people came up to me. I'm in Bible college today because of your ministry. And this one young person I was talking to is, and you all listen so carefully too. I'm taking Greek and church history because you said those were the two most important ones. I said, I'll wait till you get to participles. Oh, we're in participles right now. Pray for me. You know, I said, oh, good. That's awesome. You know, I can't tell you what it means. They had to drag me out after the debate. The folks at Kensington had to actually say, you need to leave now. And because there were still people that wanted to take pictures, there were still people who wanted me to sign their books, and I wanted to do it, but they had to close the place down. And I felt badly doing that, but it was incredibly encouraging. It really, really was. And then I went back to Kensington Temple on Sunday, and I did a presentation on the LGBT stuff. And Phil Johnson came and was sitting over to the left. He posted a picture of it. And that went really well. And again, I was well received, and the folks were extremely kind to me. And it was just a tremendous trip. It really, really was. You did a great job. My flight connections were great. I don't like running to try to make flight connections and being super rushed, and so the times were great. And British Airways did a great job. Well, Aer Lingus won. Well, I had a guy sit down next to me in Aer Lingus, and he's a tall guy, and there was no way if he tried to sit in a normal, no, couldn't have done it. That Aer Lingus plane, but it's 55 minutes, big deal. But man, you're talking, if the guy in front of you puts his seat back, he's gonna knock your teeth in. I mean, it was whew. Not as bad as Ryanair or EasyJet. Those guys are the Ryanair and EasyJet make Southwest look like British Airways. Okay, I mean, they almost make you pay per shoe because you can literally get on the plane for like £3, but then everything else. They were even considering putting a coin thing on the bathroom. That didn't work because no. Think about that one for a while. Yeah. Anyway, so everything just worked out smashingly, and so very, very.